All right. John, can you hear us okay now?
I can. How you guys doing?
Good, doing good. It is 8 o'clock, so I'd like to call the Broomfield Township regular meeting to session at 8 a.m. on June 29th. Roll call for attendance.
And all those in attendance, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
We have a full board.
All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll pause for a moment of silent reflection and meditation before the start of the meeting. All right. We'll move on to our agenda here. Announcements and correspondences. Sue, do you have any announcements for today?
I received a very nice thank you card from Cindy Moore on Mogador Road for we're coming out there and taking a look at all that dust coming right in her window. And I think it's been resolved.
Okay.
And I think Mike Ladd and I drove out there and took a look around and watched the wind blow right across the road in her front door. And we talked to the people across the street, and they had asphalt chips and stuff they were putting down.
Okay.
So I think that resolved it. Thank you, Mike.
Mike, do you have any announcements, correspondences?
I just had one resident that had contacted me about when we would resume in-house meetings.
Okay.
And I told him, you know, in the situation we are now, not anytime soon.
Right. Yeah.
But I told him he could reach out to any of us trustees and ask his question, and then we would answer it at the meeting.
Yeah.
He said his questions have to be in a live forum.
Okay. Well, I mean, unfortunately, because of the governor's mandate, the size of this meeting room right now, there's no way we could maintain 6-foot social distancing in here. Plus, I think the other reason that we've talked about is it's connected to the fire station. So we just don't want to pose any risk to the citizens themselves coming in here because of calls or the firefighters themselves. So,
Yep.
Well, hopefully people start sending in comments or questions, because that's what we are here for too. I did have one correspondence. I did send this on to Mike Ladd, and he said he was going to follow up with it. But Thurl Carmody sent me an email, and he says, I pass by the old Green Hills golf course on a regular basis. Even though this property is for sale, I don't believe it should be let go without some sort of maintenance. It looks absolutely horrible. Is there anything the township can do to get a little cleanup done? Thank you and the other trustees for all you do for Broomfield. Regards, Thurl. So I followed up with Mike, and he said he was going to send a letter to the property owner there about the maintenance of that property. So just wanted to make that public out there so that people knew we followed up with it.
Even if they can mow it off the street.
Yeah, just clean it up some is what he was asking for. So hopefully the property owner responds to that. I had a second one. This kind of falls under safety too, but we'll put it under correspondences and announcements. This is from Rosemary Eade, the president of Glazing Systems. She says, with the increased traffic caused by Meyer and Menards, which isn't even opened yet, as well as the other businesses that have recently opened, there needs to be a light at Highway View. It is treacherous to make a left-hand turn out of there, especially after 3 p.m. Something has to be done or someone is going to be killed. Sincerely, Rosemary Eade, President Glazing Systems.
That's ODOT's looking at it. Yes.
So just making everyone aware. And I believe that is as part of the ODOT project,
Yeah.
or
I mean, we don't control that right now.
all right. So those were the two announcements and correspondences that I had. We have no scheduled meeting guests virtually to attend today, so we will move on to meeting minutes. We're going to need two separate motions. The first one is going to be for our general regular meeting on 7/15. I need a motion and a second for that. Mike, you were absent, so you won't be able to vote on that one. So I'll make a motion to accept the 7/15 meeting minutes.
No, second.
All right, any discussion on those?
No.
All right, roll call, John?
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Abstain?
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed.
Then we have a second set of meeting minutes to review and approve for 7/22. It was our special meeting on 7/22. Can I get a motion for that one?
I will make that motion. to approve.
second.
Sue seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Okay, move to approve minutes from 7/22. All those in favor, Mike,
Yes,
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed.
Onto the agenda. Is there any additions or changes to the agenda from the board members?
I have none.
I have one.
Okay, which one do you have?
Under fire department, I need number 3, USD loan resolution. USD loan resolution is what we need. I'll
John, is
explain.
that what we signed this morning?
No, it's something separate. I'll explain it when we get there. It's,
So do we need number 2 then at all?
yes, we still need number 2. 2 and 3.
John, can we add under fiscal, instead of no action, change that to CARES Act? I'd just like to have a discussion on the CARES Act funding. with all
Okay.
the departments.
Is it the stuff I sent you yesterday? Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, the money that we're getting so that we can all start to figure out how we're gonna make
Okay.
sure we get every penny of that we can.
Okay, so we have FD, USD loan resolution, and then under fiscal office, we have CARES Act funding.
Yep, is there anything from department heads that they need added to the agenda? Okay, all right, hearing none, I need a motion to approve the agenda with the 2 additions.
so moved.
Okay, and I will second that. Any discussion beyond that?
Okay,
Roll call.
all those in favor, Mike,
Yes,
Nick,
Yes?
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed.
Purchase orders, we need a motion for purchase orders.
I will make that motion.
second.
All right, any discussion on purchase orders? Hearing none, roll call.
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes,
Nick,
Yes?
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed.
Warrants, I have reviewed the warrants. I'll make a motion to accept the warrants. Need a second?
I will second that motion.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes,
Nick,
Yes?
Sue,
yes,
motion passed.
Any additional public comments or questions that you've received? Sue? Sue, any additional public comments or questions? Mike?
I'm good.
All right. I didn't have any either. So safety concerns. We'll open that up to anybody. Is there any safety concerns for discussion?
I just have one for Dave. Dave, when are the signs going up in Pleasant Lakes over there for the parking stuff?
Right now I've been really busy. It'll probably be sometime next week.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. I didn't know if we had to order them or not.
No, actually, I just got them in
Okay.
at the end of last week, so I'll get them up next week.
Okay, that works. I just was trying to get a timeline. Thanks.
All right. Hearing no other safety concerns, we will move into our regular business, starting with police department. Chief, floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Couple items just to update you on this morning. First item you had already touched on. We can discuss that. I wanted to get a little bit of feedback from the board and the fiscal office on the CARES Act funding, but we can discuss that in the later piece under the fiscal office. Just an update on that Myers traffic detail we've been at for the last few weeks. That's getting ready to wrap up now, so we're coming to a conclusion there. No real issues or problems during the detail down there during the last 3 weeks or so. Since Myers been open, we've had, I think, 3 theft cases that have come out of there since they've opened up. No problems with those. They have gone smoothly so far, but 3 cases so far on charges since they've been open for our guys to handle. Wanted to give the board an update on our cruiser that we ordered. You may recall that happened back in March, and then COVID hit and things kind of went sideways with manufacturing with Ford. So we've kind of been in a holding pattern on that, and I don't really have specific update on a timeline other than to say we're continuing in a holding pattern. I don't know when we're going to take delivery of that car. We did some follow-up over the last couple of days, myself and Captain Atkins. So when I get more information on that, I'll let you know, but we're still waiting on that. The only piece I really know for sure is because of the delay, this car was originally ordered as a 2020. It may likely end up being a 2021 model with no additional cost for that. That's the only information I have at this time. I'll let you know when I find out more. Other last follow-up item for you, I touched on this at the last meeting, but we're in the middle of the planning and projections process for the police protection safety levy for spring of 2021 right now. I'll have information to bring to the board in the fall, and then we can get the planning process underway for next year. So that's all I have for you this morning, just a couple of updates, unless you have any questions for me.
I don't know if this is premature, but have you got a basic number, what you're figuring?
No, that's the process we're in right now. We need to take a look at that, projecting out for 5 years, and then we'll have a better feel for that. So we'll look at our options with the auditor's office as well. So once we've got a feel for that, I'll bring that information to the board and we can look at our various options.
Okay.
And so the cruiser being held up, is that because they build them brand new for us? It's not something that they have in stock?
Correct. Yeah, they've got the manufacturing line and everything went sideways when COVID hit. So we're just kind of in a bit of a holding pattern for that. So, and not just us, by the way, every other department that ordered at that time is in the same boat.
Right. How are we holding up on the cruiser we're going to replace it with? Are we seeing additional problems, or are we kind of?
No additional problems other than just adding mileage to it. You know, at the time we anticipated doing the trade-in, they gave us a trade-in value on it. That may need to be adjusted somewhat depending upon the timeline of taking delivery of the new car.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for police? All right. Thank you for your report. That's going to move us into fire department.
All right, I'm sitting in the room if everybody can hear me, so you won't see my face today. Fire department, renderings for the trustees are in front of you to look at. That's for the fire station admin building. These are the final renderings. Once we move forward with the levy in November, and assuming that we would pass that, we would sit down and really get down into each office and things like that. But the renderings are there, and we'll start putting those out for public to see. I can finally say a number that's out there. This building, as it sits today, would cost $3.99 per $100,000 valuation per month for homeowners of Burnfield. So I was pleasantly surprised at that number. I thought that was a very good value for what we need and would get. So just throwing it back to you guys for comments on that.
So we're going to get these, at least the exterior renderings up, because the interior could have some change.
Right, and I plan on following up this week on Facebook and some other things with, you know, those numbers that I just said. But like I said, I didn't want to say anything till I actually had the numbers from the auditor's office. I have them now, and they're a good number, I think. So.
Right.
I think I do on page 3 of the drawings that are out there. Where is the dividing line between the fire and the admin?
Basically the bays. The bays
So
that are.
the left of the bays is admin.
Yep, that would be all admin.
Okay, so the
And
bays in the middle, and then the right is all fire department 2-story, correct?
Correct.
All right.
So the fire bays would be 1 story going over into the fire department, which would be, let's look at it as kind of a split level. So it would be partially 2-story. It wouldn't be
Okay.
2-story above the whole thing.
Okay.
But that would add us on the admin side, 13 plus offices and a new meeting room and
Okay.
some other things.
Okay. Thanks.
That would then get all of our staff back into one building, which would reduce our
Yes.
rental costs.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
But, you know, I guess the things that air conditioners, where are they going to sit? That's down the road. Those are the things that I just don't know yet.
Okay.
But we have what we need to move forward.
Beautiful.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about this. I think it looks great. But the biggest piece is the functionality and growth potential within it.
Yeah.
I think we've said this a million times, but we've operated for so long out of an older building. We're just at that point.
Right, so like I said, I wanted to see the numbers, and I'm happy with those, so.
So I'm looking at the original building.
Right.
Now, are they putting in it looks like they're putting in the old doors that used to be there?
They will be the same size doors. Are you talking about the bay doors?
Yeah, no, to see the front? No, I'm looking
Oh,
at the old town hall.
The old town hall.
That's
Yes,
where they
so those will be false garage doors. We wanted to go back to
used-
the
To the
original look
That's what I thought. That's cool.
with the building being updated. So it's not like we're gonna take the old building,
Oh, I
keep
know.
it as the old building,
Right.
but it'll still look like the old building. And we thought that was important for historical purposes.
There was a lot of discussion about the historical look.
Yeah.
And ensuring that we maintained a section of the building that still
Right.
had that look.
What about that old lettering?
Lettering is to be determined, all that's
I mean,
down
if
the
you're
road.
going back to the old look,
Right.
I'm open to anything on that.
yeah, that'd be sort of neat.
Yeah.
Right.
We just want to preserve some of the history and then kind of show the growth.
Right, right.
And that was a cost savings by using some of the existing building. That's part of why we chose where we're at.
We would just change our entrance, so it would be more.
Right.
For an area for community meetings, how many people do you factor to be able to attend a meeting?
For township meetings,
Mhm.
we based it on 75.
Okay,
So it would take this room that we're sitting in right now and double it, cathedral it.
Yeah,
So
so
if you could-
basically,
if you
this
could
wall
picture
and this
that.
wall kind of go out.
With true chamber quarters
okay.
for people and, a room to come off of for executive sessions and stuff like that, so.
Very nice. Right. You did a great job.
Okay, so that's, I just want to put that out there. I'll follow up with more stuff this week.
Okay.
For the public. Going into my next section, unfortunately, I'm afraid we're gonna have to cancel their senior luncheon this year. I thought about ways to keep that going, but with the COVID situation, what's being recommended by the state and us bringing in the senior population, that's probably not a good combination.
No.
So unfortunately, we're gonna have to cancel that. And, maybe throughout the next few months, Cassie and I can come up with something different to do, but it doesn't seem to be getting better right now. So we're just gonna have to move forward with that way.
Okay.
On a good note, though, we submitted grants this year through the BWC, and we were given the grant for a gear extractor. Basically, for the public knowledge, that's a huge washer that takes our fire gear when we get in fires, and it pulls all the carcinogens out and things that every other fire department have, and we've never had. So we did get that grant. That was $11,275 for that.
That's
And
great.
it was ordered yesterday.
What's the expected delivery time on it?
Up to 4 weeks, right around that. I think I have 90 days, so if I can get in within 4 weeks, I meet that timeline.
Okay.
So that's a good thing. And then the only other thing I need to do is I need board approval, and I'll work through my line items, but this is part of stuff that I had set aside for up to $9,000 for lighting package for the new fire department vehicle. And the reason I have to do it that way is because other vehicles, we usually pull our radios out of one vehicle, drop it into another one. This is a new additional, so I have to buy all new stuff for this. So I would just like board approval for that.
So we need a motion for the purchase of lighting equipment for a new fire light duty vehicle.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second for discussion. Craig, what are you gonna do about the radio in there? Are you gonna try to go to the new Marks system on your radio?
Yeah,
or-
and if that comes about, and which I have a slight indication that we may be getting another grant, if that comes about, great, then the grant pays for that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we didn't put a radio in and have to take it out.
Well, what I would do is buy a large enough console with enough slots that
Okay,
I can fit either one, depending on what we get.
Okay.
So we'll talk in a couple meetings. I may have some better news that I've been hearing we're getting the Marks grant, but
Right.
we will see.
right. Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure that we were just thinking about that. If we're gonna
Absolutely.
invest that much into it.
Yep, absolutely. And that's something that maybe I can get with Vasu or somebody else and get maybe a used system in the meantime that I can sell back to them or something like that. We'll take a look.
Okay.
But I am getting multiple quotes on this.
Any other discussion?
No.
All right, hearing none, roll call?
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes,
And that's all I have for fire department.
I have, hold on one
Yeah,
second.
USDA signature and
Okay.
USDA loan.
And I'll let John talk about that.
Well, and we also need to approve the BWC grant, accepting it.
Oh, okay. Then let's start with that then.
Okay. So we need to move to accept the 2020 BWC grant for the $11,275 for gear extraction equipment.
so moved.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
I'll have to abstain.
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed. Okay. Then the next item that's out there, we have, there's a USDA signature authority resolution that we need to pass, which pretty much during the USDA loan construction or the project of the fire department admin building, there need to be people that can have signature authority. And those two people that they're requesting are Craig and myself. So we like to sign off on approvals, the sign off on purchase orders, all that kind of stuff, if there was ever any need for signatures. So that's what they're asking us to approve in a board meeting, is allowing Craig and myself to be the signature people on the USDA loan project.
I'll make that motion.
I can second it.
Discussion.
Does that stuff still, is it gonna be stuff that comes before the board before we sign off on it? How does that work?
No, it'd be like if there was throughout the loan, if there was a punch order list or something like that that was going on, Craig or myself would have to sign off on that to approve it, which would 99% of the time be Craig, because he's going to be the one watching the project to make sure everything's done the correct way. We just have to have signature power. We wouldn't be able to, go over your heads. It's just the day-to-day things that need approvals.
Craig, are you basically the GC, general contractor?
Yeah, so I'll work with USDA. USDA would bring something to me, said, hey, we're running into a problem here. What do you think about this?
Okay.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
So you don't
I
have
sign
to come
off.
back to the board every
If
time.
I would, if it's something significant, of
Right.
course.
Or if it's moving.
And I'm just the backup to Craig, is all I am. But Craig's the majority signature on it.
Financial, I would run through him, so. It would just be so I don't have to come to you guys every 2 weeks and wait for 2 weeks to get something done.
Well, that makes sense. That's good logic.
And I think that's what we did before, John, didn't we?
We did. Chief at the fire department, police department was in charge and I was second. But I was just there in case he wasn't available. It'll be the same way at the fire department. Craig's gonna be total signature, and if he's gone on vacation one, week and somebody needs some color change approved, then I can be the signature person on it.
So any large financial changes would come before the board? is my
Correct.
only- Okay.
Yep.
I wouldn't do that without you guys anyways.
Yeah, I just, checks and balances I like to have there.
Nope, that's fine.
It's not like the simple everyday things that might come up that he might not have to bring to the board. That he was gonna change the color of his office to something else, he has to sign off on it. It'd be something like that. But you guys wouldn't care if he did or not, but.
Any other discussion?
No.
All right, roll call.
Hey, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed. Okay, we also have to pass a loan resolution, which it's a little backwards, but they want us to do it this way. We have to, it's kind of like accepting the BWC grant. We're accepting, and Rochelle should have brought a copy for all of you over the USDA. It says right on the top of the first page there. This is what'll happen if we get this loan. If we pass the levy and we're approved for the loan, these are the processes that we have to go through along the way to get the loan in place. So what they're wanting us to do is to pass a resolution that will go by this if the levy passes, which is just the standard operating process for this loan.
Okay.
These are all the things that we have to do in order to finalize the loan with them.
It's gonna make that motion.
So I'll make the motion to accept the USDA loan resolution.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on that?
No,
Hey, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
yes,
motion passed. Thank you. That's all I needed.
Any questions for fire department? Hearing none, we'll move into administration.
Do you want me to continue with my stuff just
Yep.
real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, for admin, I only had a couple things. I just wanted to discuss this, and this may be coming up for upcoming meetings, but because of the COVID stuff, we are going to continue to be in lockdown mode and operate as we are right now, but we will not, and I guess I need to bring this up because I'm getting calls from political people wanting to hold stuff in our meeting room and stuff like that. We're not allowing any kind of outside meetings.
Right.
With that being said, I prefer to stay locked down as much as possible, and maybe this rolls into our SWAT meeting that we need to talk about that we had coming up, whether we want to do that or virtually do that. Do we want to discuss that now?
Yeah, because I wanted to discuss that in board meetings.
Okay.
So.
So yeah, well, I mean, piggyback into that.
Yeah, so I think the first thing is just day-to-day operations. Are we still continuing to make people make reservations to come in
Right.
for permits and all that type of stuff?
Right, and then I can speak on this side. Rochelle meets them at the door with mask on, sees what they need before they're allowed into the building. I'm restricting all family access for the fire event. Just
Well, permits, you're
good with
saying,
that.
I mean, they're still going down to zoning for their,
Yeah, but they should be a constant in and out. Hopefully they're making some type of reservation.
I see them all the time, and I'll speak for zoning, or Mike could jump in, the door's locked, they have to knock, they meet them at the door.
Okay.
So everybody's doing what we put in place, and I think that's working.
okay, the people that come to the door, are they wearing masks?
They're not allowed in unless they have one.
Well, I
So
mean, just
I see
even-
some of them do and some of them don't, but they're not allowed in.
There's a sign on the door with the guidelines before you can enter.
But we want to still adhere strictly to that.
Yeah, well, with
And
the
for the
new-
safety of our admin staff too.
Right, well, with the new governor's guidelines too, even guests now have to have them on. Even though we had that rule in place, it's now completely mandatory at this point.
So
So next is gonna be, let's talk board or trustee meetings. We are able to maintain our 6 foot distance here, but Craig and I were talking, we think, and it's up to the board though, that maybe we need to go back to virtual meetings for a few more weeks, just as we saw a little bit of a spike across the nation, just for the protection of the firefighters, but then for us too. I mean, this is their home here. And if we're gonna find it in one of our buildings, it's most likely gonna be with the fire department. So,
and I guess I know we discussed this, I can go either way. I
Right.
just don't want to hold any other meetings.
so I think what it comes down to is, each board member can make that decision for themselves, but if you want to still come in here, you can, but the technology, and Brian will do an update to make sure everybody's computers are set up for the Zoom at home. That way you could virtually tie into the meeting instead of coming in here if you choose to.
Well, I think we all need to do our part. So I mean, if it takes us doing a meeting from home for a few meetings, I mean, what's the loss?
Right. Yeah, we just wanted to make sure everybody felt comfortable with the technology because it is different than Teams, but it should just be a single link to get into the meeting. And Brian can make sure that's set up out there for each of us. But it's nice to be able to gather like this, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we all have that option of how we want to distance and be safe.
Yeah, I'm good with whatever, but I mean,
yeah, whatever we just have
Whatever
to
works
do, I'll
good.
go with the flow. It does, it's okay.
I don't think we need to pass a resolution. Let's just discuss within the
Yeah, no,
by next
our-
meeting, we'll decide if you guys want to.
Right.
Yeah, I think we kind of monitor it,
Right.
but just make sure that you get with Brian to make sure that you understand the Zoom piece so that you can do that from home.
so this will be a different platform than what we used prior.
Yeah, and it should be a much easier platform.
So
And that's what this is here now that you're staring at on the large.
So do I just need to leave my computer with him? Does he have to
Uh,
install something new or?
I think it's just a link. So let's talk to him right after the meeting. He should be
Okay.
able to stop down and tell us, but it should just be from the Zoom meetings I've done for other organizations. They send you an email, you click on the link in the email and you're in the meeting.
Okay,
So then you can just do it from your laptop that way, connected to your network at home.
okay.
So,
But I guess to piggyback, if you're getting calls to hold anything here, we're not doing anything.
Right. And so that brings up the next big thing. We did have a informational meeting scheduled for the board and the department heads to do a SWOT analysis. We wanted to do that in person because that's where we find it's easiest to gather information. Initially that was going to work. We were going to do it in the fire bays, but after we've reevaluated with some of the changes happening in the state, we feel that's not a good idea at this point to do it in person. We just don't want to jeopardize that end of the building.
Right.
So the two options that sit on the table is, do we try to do this virtually or do we postpone this? Virtually, the downside is it's hard to get as much interaction out of everybody. The downside to postponing it is we did have a January 1 deadline for them. We'd most likely have to give them an extension to get this project done because they're not able to get the information they need.
Well, I mean, any kind of gathering is just not recommended. So, I mean, I have no problem giving them an extension. I mean, why rush into this? I mean, let's try to nip this thing in the butt and get it done.
Yeah, I would extend it. I would do an extension.
So let's do this for now. I will reach out to them, to Todd, and talk about what we can look at in a couple weeks for a potential meeting. Most likely won't be in person. We'll discuss what a virtual meeting could potentially look like and determine where we go, because reality is we might have to do the social distancing for 6 more months. Who knows, right? I mean, we just don't
what
know.
you're seeing out there is October 1st seems to be the new standard.
Right. So I will talk with Todd and see how we want to address that moving forward, because I know there's a survey that he wants to get out to the public too. So
I mean, would he be able to give us, I mean, he's gonna want our stuff. I mean, can we get these surveys ourselves and start?
well, what he's going to do is that was part of our fee, is he's going to get the survey out to everybody, but he's already gotten the zoning commission's feedback on the questions. So now he needs the board of trustees and the department heads feedback on the questions and do the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats assessment
And
as part of that.
it'd just be nice, you know, with a lot of people having this downtime, we could get into our
Get it knocked
surveys.
down, yeah.
Right, but we need to have a meeting to do that first,
Okay.
is the downside. So the question on the table is, do we just want to postpone Monday night's meeting at this point and
Yeah, I'm gonna-
reevaluate?
I'm gonna make a motion that we go ahead and postpone the meeting.
Second,
All right, and then I will follow up with Todd on that and bring something back to the board in 2 weeks. Any other discussion on that?
No.
All right, all in favor of the postponement? Roll
Hey,
call?
Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes,
Sue.
yes,
so
Motion
everyone can cancel that meeting on their agenda for now. I will get with Todd.
Okay.
Yep.
Next thing, fall sports. As the public knows and the board knows, we have provided soccer fields that we're trying to get going. We've also provided a place for field youth football to play at this moment. And I'll have Dave's interaction on this because he's with football down there. There's been recommendations from Summit and Portage County to postpone. As it sits today, they're still moving forward as far as the youth programs. So it's a recommendation. Each youth sport has to make their own decision. We're still got our waivers signed. We're moving forward. Talking about the soccer fields, they will be there tonight to start striping the fields over off Kelso Drive. And I also have, Dave, this is a surprise for you, but I have the soccer goals coming in on Monday, and I might want to get over there and try to start putting those together. I'm not saying you guys to get over there. I might get over there because they want to start practice Monday night. Do you see a problem with that?
No, I don't see a problem.
Okay.
Cassie, you're muted if you were trying to talk.
And we'll
Oh,
just have to,
I can help with the soccer goals if you need that too.
okay. Yeah, I mean, they're just gonna, if they want to use them Monday night, I want to get them out there because that's when technically practice starts for them. We have reached out to German Society and we do own some goals. We just haven't got with them yet to take a look at them because they're on kind of a lockdown mode too. So that's just kind of update on the fall sports. This could change by next week or the week after, just like everything else. But we're moving forward with stuff.
Okay.
So it's a good thing.
All right, anything else under admin?
That is all I have.
All right, I do have one piece, recycling contract. I know we thought this was over with, but I have to bring before the board a new contract for the recycling center. We as a board of trustees voted a month ago to accept their offer. Their offer was for us to go to $3 per month for the first 6 months, $3.75 for the second 6 months, and to change the schedule from every week pickup to every other week pickup, and the contract would remain the same outside of that. What they submitted to us was a brand new contract with all new language in it. It was not it was not just the 2 changes. They changed the entire contract. So
This wasn't discussed at all.
no, that's not what they presented to us
Yeah,
initially.
this was not discussed at all.
So because of that, our vote did not go with what they sent. Therefore, the agreement has not been reached at this point. So we had to go back and look at this when we got that new contract. That's why there was a delay in discussion on it, because our attorney thought it was going to be quick, and he got into it and he goes, Nick, I got to go line by line. This is going to take a while to go through. Found multiple areas of concern. He reached out to the county prosecutor, and this was kind of interesting. The prosecutor basically recused himself of and said, just go ahead and deal with Bill Steiner directly. I'm not going to work on this. So Mark, our attorney, worked directly with Bill Steiner to rewrite what he had sent us. There was a lot of concerns in there. A lot of those have been addressed and taken out. You received the red line document with those. The biggest changes that will be in this contract that we need to vote on today is that it's still going to be $3 and $3.75 for the first 6 months, second 6 months. It is only a 1-year agreement. Recyclable materials has changed though. Our old contract said we could recycle glass, aluminum, steel containers, magazines, phone books, junk mail, mixed paper, newspapers, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7 plastics, and cardboard. It now reads that the term shall refer to the following recyclable materials. This is 1.15. Glass, aluminum, and steel containers, magazines, phone books, junk mail, mixed paper, newspaper, 1 and 2 plastics. So plastics 4, 5, 6, and 7 have been removed from the contract. So just, I want the board members to be aware of that. That's one of the big changes. The second major change.
So everyone's gonna have to look at the bottom of their plastics.
Well, they define it as bottles and jugs, no food containers such as clamshell fruit containers is their little caveat they put in there. But yeah, you should be aware of what you're recycling, because any 4, 5, 6, and 7s is considered contamination and raises the contamination
So
rate.
bottles and jugs you can?
Yes. But no food containers.
Okay. And they are still taking glass.
Yes, according to our contract. What he had originally put in here was, please refer to our website and it'll tell you what is acceptable at that time. Well, I didn't think it was fair for us to sign a contract that our residents would have to go to the website each time to see what was on the website.
Okay.
The second major change is a little bit back towards the beginning of it. Sections 1.8 through 1.12. They've added multiple definitions of housing units. This caused another hiccup in the discussions of getting this cleaned up. Multiple family units are exempt from this contract, meaning apartment buildings. However, they did consider redwood apartment buildings initially. And had them under a commercial contract when they're really row houses and they should have been under this. And they tried to back charge them for the first 6 months of service that none of our residents are supposed to be charged for. So we had to get that language cleaned up and get row houses added into this contract because they were covered under the last contract.
Okay, this makes no sense to me. Apartments owned by Sabrina Christian Bennett?
That's how it's, that's how it's listed. That list came from Mike Ladd's office.
Now they're not.
These are exempt. They are not covered by this.
Why?
Because they are considered apartment buildings, and the district does not want to leave the large dumpsters for recycling because they have huge contamination rates.
So all this large group of people are not having to recycle.
Correct.
And then apartments owned by Sabrina Christian Bennett.
That must be the name of the company that she has.
They're the apartments right on 18 before you get to the railroad track on the right-hand side. There's 3 or 4 of them back there. They don't have a name though.
Wow.
That must be why they do it.
Yeah, that must be her DBA or whatever.
I don't know, that's crazy.
So we added this in here so that it was very clear of what units would not be covered, because we, initially ran into that problem with Redwood being row houses, but they're advertised as apartments.
I mean, so all that aluminum, everything, I mean, I don't know, what do you think about that?
I mean, these are big changes to it, obviously. It was interesting to see all the changes that we had to do to this. Really, I think we shouldn't even be, it's always been my opinion that we're not entered into a contract, that the commissioners should just enact this and run it as a county program like they're supposed to.
They won't.
Are all these people being charged a fee though? I mean, is the landlord going to be charged a fee and pass it along to them in rent?
No, because they can't be charged for it under this contract. So if you have a multifamily unit, there's no fee for this recycling. Now, they could potentially maybe enter into a commercial contract, but that's outside of our contractual terms. That's
Okay.
nothing that I could speak on, because that would be between the company and the district at that point. And that's what they tried to do with Redwood, is they said that, oh, well, no, you're under a commercial contract, which interestingly, their commercial contract was only going to charge them $2.21 a month per pickup. But they want $3 for us. So that took about a week to get cleaned up. So yeah, this is the final piece. The attorney felt pretty comfortable with it. We don't have an official yay from the county commissioners yet. If we approved it, their attorney's looking at it now. Theoretically, they could potentially approve it tomorrow and the contract would be effective then. Or they could look at it and say they want something changed and it's got to come back to us again.
So is there any point in us approving it shouldn't they be approving it first?
It doesn't matter either way, because they could approve it first, then we can see something we don't like and have to kick it back. So I think there's no right or wrong way to do this.
Okay.
This is what's been brought to the board, but that's why we're going through this. I just wanted to make sure that all the board members were aware of why we had to redo this.
Why does Bill Steiner send out a contract, then we approve it, and then he changes it?
They said, when I talked to Kathleen Clyde about this, I called her, I said, hey, did you read this contract? She goes, yeah, I perused it. I said, well, it's totally different than what you proposed. She goes, well, we're just trying to make sure all the contracts are in alignment in the county. I go, but that's not what you proposed to us as a board to vote on. And her response was, well, you have to deal with the director directly on that. You have to deal with Bill Steiner on that.
Why is the common thread with the commissioners or the prosecutor to not deal with it? Aren't they getting paid for that?
I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't want to deal with this trustee stuff anymore, so I'm going to be at the give me a call.
Craig, we're going to ask you to deal with this.
Yep.
I say let them vote on it first.
So,
Put it back in their lap.
so this is where we are. This is what the process would be. This is the cost.
Well, what I ran into, I talked to one commissioner and the commissioners did not write this. This was the Bill Steiner model. Came directly from him, did not go through, to me, I would think it would go, since it's a county program, he should have done his thing and presented it to the commissioners and got their blessing on it first, one way or the other, and then let it come down to us for whatever. It didn't happen that way because two commissioners knew nothing about this at all.
Right.
So Bill Steiner is running Portage County?
It looks
Wow.
that way.
Ah, yeah.
So this is what sits on the floor. We need a motion, I guess, in the positive to see what we do with this.
Move to approve the 2020 Portage County recycling contract effective 7/29/2020. That work?
We need a motion for that.
That's what I just put out there.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion in the positive note.
We need a second.
So we gain nothing by letting,
Well, we need a second first. Sue, do you want to second that?
No, you can second it.
All right, I'll second it to put it on the floor. Okay. So it sits on the floor. This is the contract that is offered to us.
So, you got most of the changes you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, we got everything changed other than, there is going to be, like we talked about, well, we'd already agreed to an increase in cost.
No, but
now there's a
there
reduction
was
in
that
service.
piece with the senior citizens, so they are.
Yeah, so let me pull that
was
piece.
corrected, I thought, I saw it on there.
So what we have is called carryout service. This is designed for certain individuals that might not be able to get the bin down because of health or medical reasons. Yeah, they changed it to say the district reserves the right to terminate carryout service after consultation with the township if it determines that the individual does not qualify for such service. Originally, it said they had to provide a physician's note to
Right.
get that, and we said,
Well, I have a question,
yes.
okay? I have a question here. We signed a contract just a few weeks ago that would go from the time we signed it till next year, to July the 1st of next year.
Correct.
So if that contract is in place, I'm trying to understand why we would get a new contract that would bump that contract off, right?
Well, that contract isn't in place. We made a motion to accept the terms presented. Then they had to email us a contract. So the terms they presented to us was the old contract with 3 changes: the
Right.
service date, the cost, and the pickup schedule.
Right,
When the document arrived for us to sign,
and we approved that.
yeah, so we had approved what I had just discussed. What had arrived was a different version of this. So what we had approved and what they mailed to us was totally different.
Yeah, that's confusing to me, because if we signed a contract according to what their wishes were and what they wanted us to do, and we were able to do that, then that contract should be in place until July the 1st of next year.
But
And
because
then
we,
this would come in after that.
but we never signed anything because all's the motion on the floor before was to accept the terms presented. They presented to us in an email, we only want 3 changes to the contract.
Right, we
When
gave
the
you.
actual
Actual
document
content, it
showed
comes
up.
up with a
And we're,
novel.
and we're possibly doing the same thing again, possibly.
Right, and so we get this new contract back and they didn't make the changes that they had proposed to us. They basically sent us an entire new thing. So no contract has ever been signed between Brimfield or the commissioners at this point, which means we're still operating outside of the contract.
I got you now, I
And
got
we
you.
wonder why we have a problem with correspondence.
It's just a little sketchy, that's all.
Well, and once again, luckily we have outside legal counsel because otherwise it would.
They thought it a blip in the road?
Yeah.
Little
So,
bit.
So we're doing the same thing again. We're approving a resolution again.
well, we're signing
And it
this,
might change
we're
again.
signing this to send to the commissioners to sign. Now, from what I understand with the conversations with Bill and our attorney, is that this is pretty much a go unless there was something crazy we snuck in there at the last minute, which,
Like he did? Oh, never mind.
there was another piece in there that we did have removed too. It talked about limiting our ability as a board to discuss recycling. And
To the public.
to the public, yeah. And so we had that section removed also.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a
Don't mess up
violation
my
of
amendment privileges.
freedom of speech.
I know.
Wow.
I guess we'll just have to sign it.
So,
Sign it, be done with it, go on with life.
so here's where we are. The motion's on the floor to accept the contract. Just everybody is aware that it's a reduction in service.
Same as before.
Yeah, reduction in pickup, reduction in materials now, and increased cost via 1-year contract. This is retroactive just to July 1 because we weren't able to sign it before then. So we need a roll call on this.
So just so I understand, we're approving it July 1st?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's retro to July 1st.
Right.
Okay, all those in favor to approve the 2020 recycling contract effective 7/1 of 2020? Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
No.
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed. Okay, can I get you guys, I'll fill out the front page, but can you all sign it on the back? And then send it over with the checks when they come back?
It says draft.
No, we can't because it says draft. It's watermark.
So when are we gonna get the original? That's the only copy I had.
Mark will have to send it. I can ask Mark to send it as a Word document so we take the watermark off.
Okay, that's
He
fine.
just sent it as a draft because he didn't want anything sitting out there until we approved it.
Okay, so he's gonna send that back to you. Can you make sure it gets signed and then we'll go from that point? I'll
Yeah.
get a resolution assigned to it, a number that you
Yeah.
can fill in on the front and then we'll be all set.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, anything else under admin? All right, hearing none, we'll move into zoning.
Thanks, Nick. Before you discussed High Point Hills, which was the former golf course, I talked to the developer and they have agreed to cut and clean up the golf course. Redwood is anticipating having everything starting over there with their portion in November or December of this year. So we'll have it cleaned up prior to that. I have several things on the agenda for the board to approve and consider. They're all related to zoning, and Jendi has given you packets with pictures and all the letters and everything we've done with these properties. I'll start off with the request board approval to send information of abandoned house at 4967 State Route 43 to the prosecutor Brett Benz to pursue.
Mike, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, a little
No,
bit.
it's on the TV, I got it. Right. All right, go ahead and try again.
Okay. So the first one is the request the board approval to send information abandoned house at 4967 State Route 43 to Brett Benz to pursue. So I'd like to get search warrants on that property.
Are we able to list all these, Mike, since there's like 6 of them out there asking for the same thing? And have it all in one motion, or do they have to all be separate?
We can, unless somebody's got questions on any of the individual ones.
John, it might be better to do as separate. I just worry about it because these all could become legal cases. So I
Okay.
think we have the lines. I know it's more work for you, but
That's okay.
all right, I'll make a motion for to forward 4967 State Route 43 to prosecutor Brett Benz for search warrant.
And I'll second it for discussion. Hey, Mike, so he's building a garage without a permit?
As of right now, but if you take a look at pictures, and I think Jendi gave them to you, that the house is deplorable. And we have the neighbor right there from Pizzuti's. I mean, he's in here and he's just really upset with the whole thing. He says he's got rodents now and everything
Right.
else.
I was over there the other day and I did see it. It is a mess. But where's the garage?
It's behind it, but I couldn't get back to the property without a search warrant.
This just seems like it's something that happened further up the street on 43.
Right, right.
So what you want to do is you just want us to approve so you can get the warrant, search warrant?
So we'll give it to the prosecutor. We'll go before the judge, get a search warrant, get building, fire, and health department in there. And then we'll go from there. If they feel that it's uninhabitable or something like that, then we could always pursue it for demolition later.
But you are going to get an immediate stop order? Is that?
We have a stop work order already out, as well as building department.
Okay.
Remember, this is just, it's that elongated process we got to go
Right.
through.
But I mean, this is the same thing we did with this gentleman a while back.
Yeah.
Right. Well, but now we have different team members in place to help push this along. So we gotta, unfortunately, we gotta check all the boxes, right?
Right.
So,
Okay.
any other questions on that property?
Nope.
All right, hearing none, we need roll call vote.
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
passed.
So the next one I have on the list is the request approval, board approval to give an extension for 1421 Howe. This, I actually spoke to John Carpenter yesterday. He did send me an email as I requested. He said, please be advised that the progress at 1421 Howe Road was severely hindered by the COVID-19 lockdown. Please know also that my father Earl was hospitalized Memorial Day, then passed away June 21st. We've had at least 3 individuals approach us with interest in purchasing the property. I believe that if we are given another 60 days, we can completely resolve this issue. In light of the circumstances, I'm pleading for 60 more days. My mother has been through a very difficult time. Thank you for your consideration, John Carpenter. As I discussed to him, he thinks he could get the property sold. He's got people interested in redoing the house. I think it's a good idea. But it's at your,
So I'll make a motion to give the extension to 1421 Howe Road for 60 days. I need a second so we can discuss it.
I'll give you a second. Mike, like I called you about, I went and looked at that house from the road.
yeah,
Hasn't been one thing done to that house.
no.
Not one thing. I mean, and it's amazing, right? As we get close to that time, we get this letter. I mean,
Yeah,
Has he communicated with you at all during this process, or is this the first time you've heard from him?
that's the first time I've heard from him.
this is just, it's crazy. I mean, how many times are we gonna, I know it's a hard luck story, but anyone can give you a hard luck story. You mean to tell me, and all this time, he could not get over there one time and start something? I mean, that is a lack of, I don't want to be mean, but I think he's just playing games with
We
you.
sent certified letters to him back
Well,
in
the
November of
COVID started in
2019.
March.
Well, this is all the time in the world. You need to do it. He said he was gonna do the work himself.
Yeah,
I mean, is he afraid
did
of
say that.
catching the COVID from himself? I don't know. I'm telling you, if we okay this, this is it. I will not vote yes on this again.
I mean, I feel like, I don't know, if he would have been communicating with you saying, hey, listen, we're having family issues, there's hospitalization, you know, at least giving us some type of updates, but they have not communicated at all with us. That's my concern. I feel like it's just, hey, I want to try to get another extension in.
I say you give him 30 days. If there's nothing happening in 30 days, it's done. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, those people living right by there looking at that crap. Yeah, pay somebody to cut the damn tree down out of the front yard. I mean, do something.
So you're asking Mike to amend the motion to give him till the 26th of August, which would be our next trustee meeting, so the 25th of August.
I mean, by
to
right
produce.
now, he should be working. I mean,
Right.
if he has somebody in the pocket, 3 people that want to buy it, I mean, it is more than apparent this man cannot take care of it.
Right.
So, I mean, that's my,
So do you want to amend the motion to make it that he has till August 25th to make progress on it, and what would progress look like?
progress has to be documentation that there's a sale pending, something. You can't just take, I'm not saying this man is stretching the truth, but we need to have checks and balances. I mean, anybody can make a story.
So the amended motion would be to change it from 60 days to to August 25th, so less than 30 days, to produce evidence of a pending sale of the property.
Yes.
Any other discussion on that?
Geez, second on the amendment change?
Yeah, we would need a second.
I'll second the amendment change.
Okay, so Sue seconds the amendment change. So now it sits
The
on
resolution.
a resolution. So it sits on the floor for 1421 Howe Road to have an extension till August 25th, and must provide by that date documentation of pending sale. Any other discussion on that? All right. Hearing none, roll call vote to give the extension.
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
No.
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed.
Okay, thank you. So the next item is request board approval to proceed with the process for demolition of 1435 Talmadge. The building department, you should have the information. It should be pretty much in order in your packets. If not, it might be a little bit.
It's in the very back of your packets.
Okay. Okay.
This is here.
Okay.
14.
So the building department has found it to be uninhabitable. And we're going to go along with that and follow through.
All right, so I will make a motion to proceed with the demolition of 1435 Talmadge Road. We need a second for discussion.
Second,
Okay, hold on
Right.
a sec here.
I
We
mean,
skipped a bunch of them, didn't we?
but
What's that, John?
Did we just skip a bunch of them?
No, they weren't in order in your file, so we're at number 4. On
Oh, I'm looking at the zoning. That's not the right sheet.
So, yeah, so 1435 was moved up onto the agenda compared to.
Okay,
That's the only one that was moved
okay,
up.
I see you. I was looking at Mike's report.
Okay,
Okay. All right, I'm back. Okay.
okay. So the motion on the floor is for demolition. Sorry, there's an alarm somewhere.
First time.
All right. So discussion on the demolition of 1435. I see that we've issued several communications with them according to the regulations, Mike.
Yes, that's correct. And we went out there, we had search warrants, health department, fire department, building department, and myself were out there. Fire and health had some issues with the outside stuff. Building department is, found the house uninhabitable, but there was somebody actually living in there.
Is anybody still residing in there at this point? Do we know?
As far as I know, yes.
How many years have we been working with this gentleman on this house? It's been at least 5, hasn't it?
Well, it's been since it's prior to when I was here. I mean, there's another file besides the one in front of you that's thicker from Wendy and from Dick, and we're just not making any progress. They clean up for a little bit, and the next week go right back to it. So
This has been in the pot for years.
So if we demo this, and obviously it's at our cost, does that go on the tax duplicate for refund of those funds if the property does sell later, the partial?
that's correct.
I mean, the big thing that's bad is the fact that this is one of the few remaining historical houses. And,
Right.
to lose something because of somebody's ignorance or lack of caring.
But, I mean, we gotta be fair across the board with the zoning.
Right,
And,
right.
And I mean, we gotta, our mission, and this is one of the things we charged Mike with, was making sure we clean up and get everything
Right.
back up to speed. And that's why we're seeing so many cases in front of us.
Hey, Mike, with this order, I mean, there's still a possibility that this gentleman would be able to sell it to somebody that would want to rebuild it?
Yeah, I mean, he could sell it or he could remodel it himself. I mean, that's if he comes in. Once we give the order to be demolished, he has the right to appeal to the board, which we've done in the 1421 Howe before and in 1426 Howe. Back, it was at December.
Also addressing all the, him operating a business there. I
Right.
mean, is there any tools that can stop that?
Well, that's part of our process. We wrote all this up. He will get, after you guys vote on this, he will get copies of all of the violations from building, health, fire, and myself. So it would be, running a business to uninhabitable to all the fires,
So does he have an idea this is coming?
He was there when we did the search warrant. He was there with his crew of landscape workers. And I think he was on the phone with an attorney, or whoever he was on the phone with, trying to appeal to come to another day, but we had a court order to do it.
So you actually saw his workers, all there ready for work?
Yeah, and as you go along the property in the back, there was mulch piles and all kinds of fertilizers and things of that nature in the back.
Right.
Now with the uninhabitable, and then if we make a motion to demolish, what tools are in place for that tenant that's in there to get them out of an unsafe environment?
Well, once we do that, he has the right to appeal to you guys. If we don't have an appeal letter, then we'd have the prosecutor send notice, and we'd have the same police and fire go back in there and make sure that the house is cleared before we demo.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on this property?
Yeah.
All right. Hearing none, roll call vote to demolish 1435 Talmadge Road.
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you. The next one is request board approval to send information of abandoned house at 1203 Dora Lee. This will be another one for search warrants.
So I'll make a motion to send 1203 Dora Lee to prosecutor's office for a search warrant.
I'll second.
Did this come in on a complaint, Mike? How did we end up with this one?
This did come in from a complaint. Trying to see who actually, it was just a phone call in. And then I have the name of the owner, stuff like that. But the neighbor states the house is abandoned, there's tall grass, and the house is falling apart. Which wanted us to do something. I actually have several complaints. I have another complaint from Karen Carter, and there's several complaints on this one.
Any discussion on this property?
No. No.
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
The next one I have is request board approval to send information of abandoned house at 4888 State Route 43. That should also be in your file.
Yes. I will make a motion to send property 4888 State Route 43 to the prosecutor's office. Need a second?
Second.
I'm trying to picture where this is.
Now, Jendi told me that there used to be a golf pro that owned this property.
Oh, that's Ben Curtis.
Yes.
Yeah, Ben Curtis. He was gonna build a animal sanctuary or something for his wife or something. They abandoned it,
It's abandoned. Yep.
but didn't he buy it?
And this,
He still owns it on the tax, according to the data from Portage County.
Wow. Wow.
Okay. All right. We have a motion on the floor to send this for a search warrant. All in favor, roll call?
those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
He was just in town too.
The last one I have is request a board approval to send information of non-compliance of violation letter at 1863 Old Forge Road to the prosecutor Brett Benz. You can see the photographs. I get a lot of complaints on this one. We've sent multiple letters to the house, certified, regular mail, and it's just, it's unbelievable when you go over there. There's so many animals in the yard on this small lot that we get a lot of them. I mean, you could actually go past this house and it pretty much stands out. And she's got all kinds of electric fencing in the front yard, just really bizarre stuff going on there.
All right, I'll make a motion to send the information, a non-compliance letter to 1863 Old Forge.
I'll second.
Discussion on this one. So where's this at? Is this the beginning of the process right now?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we've sent letters to her multiple times. I'd like to get the prosecutor involved at this point, and then if she ignores the prosecutor, then obviously we would have another court case. So.
And has she has been ignoring you?
Yes, and she's seen me. I mean, we're out in the street. I put the truck on with the lights and, you know, come out and take pictures, and she just ignores me and walks away. So don't know what's going on there. So
All right. Any other discussion on this property? Nope. Roll call?
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
good, thank you. To continue on with the report, I have 5 below at Cascades opening August 21st. Menards is still set for September. On July 9th, 2020, the Zoning Commission submitted a proposal for new setbacks on pools and accessory buildings. You will see that hopefully at the next meeting. They're changing it just to make it so there's not so many, sorry. So there's not so many variances. Our virtual zoning commission meeting is August 13th at 7 o'clock. Our virtual Board of Zoning Appeals hearing is August 19th at 7 o'clock. Sunny Hill Villa Apartments is still under construction. Our comprehensive land use plan, we need to meet with the department heads for the 5-year plan. Nick discussed that. Looking into all subdivisions, Muirfield, for the responsibility of maintenance within those subdivisions. Nick, I've got some good information on this. I think we could lock this down. Talked to Todd, and we are getting all of the HOAs from the county that exist. So every subdivision that they have, and they have HOAs, those have to be recorded. So once I have the complete list of all the HOA documents from those, then we know what our responsibility is on each one. And if there is no HOA, then obviously we're probably involved. So that'll narrow it down pretty good for us.
Perfect. I appreciate that.
King's Car Wash is planning on building next to Arby's. That's still going. The owner has COVID right now. So as he recovers from this, he's a young guy. I think he's 29. So I think he's doing very well with it. But they plan on going forward once he's up to it. I had some complaints on Walmart and their road there. And we sent a letter to them, and I want to thank Walmart for acting on that and completing that and patching it right away. We did issue a letter to Verizon in regards to the temporary vendors event that they had. Nick, you had sent me some information on that. We acted on it. We sent them the letters right to Verizon. So we'll get a response on that quickly.
Yeah, we're just seeing, just to elaborate on that, we're seeing a lot more food vendors pop up on the weekends where they slide in on Saturday and slide out Sunday night. And the concern with that is that we put this entire process in place that they have to get a permit. They got to go through police and fire. And we made our local vendors comply with that. It's not fair that we see other vendors kind of skirting around those rules. So I followed up on that for us.
Good.
The next item I have is the Kent Jed. We have Nick and I have a meeting after this at 10 o'clock. But the good news is the Kent Jed is up 18% from 2019, looking at the same time periods. Our zoning fees and our fire fees are the total year-to-date $92,075, which right now for the zoning portion of it, it's still a record year for us. So we're really busy with permits. And that concludes my report.
I would just like to comment real quick. If we talk about all these demolitions and warrants that we issue out there, and it seems like we come down hard on people, but our goal is to clean up the township. And if you look in that red folder that he gave us, property 1426 is one of those success cases where we reached out to them, sent the letters, had conversations, and they cleaned up their property. And I know it's hard for them to see on the camera, but you can see what it looked like before. I mean, this was a pretty rough looking property here. And now here's what they cleaned it up to look like. So I think that's a pretty big win for us. And that's what we're trying to do with this aggressive program related to zoning in Bloomfield Township.
Okay, so am I reading this wrong? What am I? I'm looking at the jet. I mean, it should be 50%, 50%. I know it says 50%.
Well, no, remember there's a weird distribution because it goes to the M&I fund too.
Where does that M&I money come in?
They're just showing the income that came into the jet. They don't show any of that breakdown.
So my
They're
question, John, when you get it is 50-50, right?
It's less than that simply because of the way they take the M&I money out, but it's close.
I mean,
But this is just showing that the payroll taxes are up from 184 to 218.
If you add the M&I and our distribution, it should equal the same.
They take the M&I out of the gross total first, or out of they split it up, and it's a calculation. I'll show it to you. It's easier to show it to you than explain it to you.
Okay. But you're not concerned.
No, I'm not concerned at all.
I could respond to that on the next sheet if you have both sheets with you there. Ken's contractual is 55% prior to M&I contribution. Brimfield's contractual is 45% prior to M&I contribution.
And then what they do is, so they write those two checks, they take those two distributions, and then they do the 5% out from both of us. So we really get 40%, they get 50%, and then 10% goes into M&I. So because of that, we have a small accounting error of a few dollars.
Just so it equals
Yeah, it does.
50/50.
Yeah,
Okay.
they just distribute it weird in their financial calculation.
Okay. But at least
Probably
it's-
most of that is us, if you think about it.
I mean, you're having an increase this time, but just judging by how the businesses are doing downtown, or, locally, I don't think we're gonna have much of an increase.
Well, I think we will, as long as we can keep this nursing home project going in the Kent Jet there on 43.
Right.
Because we're gonna get all that union labor rates, so we'll get prevailing wages, which is gonna help us. And I think that's what's gonna help save that account and keep it kind of comfortable.
But I mean, as you come further down the jet into Brimfield, I mean, there's definitely less businesses,
Right.
so.
Yeah, so I think that's gonna be that kind of give and take.
And
So
it
it's
might
really
be-
important that takes.
And my big question, I don't know if we had discussed this before, I mean, just so everyone's aware, a lot of these people that are working from home, now the big question is, if you're working in Cuyahoga Falls and you're working from home, where does your taxes go?
That I've heard a lot of discussion at the state level, and they haven't really been able to answer how that's going to be, because technically they are housed after, I think it's after 6 weeks or 12 weeks, once you're working from home continually, you're considered to be housed from your home, and the tax process changes.
And a lot of the stuff you read now is, there's gonna be fewer and fewer people working in offices. I mean, you've seen it probably in your business.
Right.
There's there's just more and more people are gonna be working from home.
Well, and for the residents, if you do live in Brimfield, it is cost beneficial typically to claim your home as your office, because you will then pay less taxes than you would in those cities that you work in. Like, I work in North Canton, technically, and my taxes are much higher than they would be if I claimed home office here.
And now with this increase, this $25,000 limit for exemptions, to reach those exemption limits is sort of tough for anybody.
Well, John is talking to city tax. I don't have to pay that city tax
okay.
anymore. So that gives me, I would
yeah,
have
yeah.
to pay the jet tax here then, potentially, as a business.
Well, yeah, you'd be, where you live, you'd be the Talmadge shed.
Yeah, so I'd have to pay in town jet, which is still less than what I pay in North Canton taxes.
I mean, this whole thing can really affect everything in the jet.
Right, and
If you're
so
looking at it.
we really need to, and I think that needs to be a bigger discussion, and maybe Mike, glad this is a good thing for us to work with Mark on. We need to figure out how we should be capturing those taxes, and where does that really truly fall?
Because then you got every fast food restaurant in the Cascades where they're a minimal staff. There's nobody working the window. They're only working the drive-thru.
Right.
Yeah, I could certainly ask Mark.
And then I'm reading just recently that they're saying up to 65% of the restaurants will be closing because of this virus. And Yelp is already reporting 35% of restaurants are never going to open again. So, I mean, all the department heads have to pay attention to this,
Right.
I mean, if we, 30 doesn't, if you have less money, your 30 is going to be less.
Right.
So,
Well, that's why we got to continue with some of this development too, though. I think it helps balance it out.
right,
Hopefully that plays out.
right. Okay, thanks.
All right, any other questions for zoning? Hearing none, we'll move into road department.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Dave.
I just want to let you know right now we're working on setting up some of the road projects, finishing up some paperwork and that stuff. As of right now, Cardinal will be starting the Sterling Green and Chapman Farm project on Monday, starting with the concrete work. We're actually going to lay out some of the concrete curb and gutter we need to replace on Friday. In front of you, you should have the paper for grade lines contract thing, the trustees to sign before we can get that paperwork completed. We actually have a pre-construction meeting on the 4th of August. go over that project and see when they're gonna start that one. We've put up some new road signs on Gary, Powder Mill, Timber Mill, and Sanctuary View. We've got all them road signs up for people to know where they live, what the road name is. The problem is over at Gary, I'm having a little bit of an issue. We put the new sign up and somebody ran over a pole and took the sign for the second time. So we'll see what happens the third time. They may not have a name no more. On Robert's Journey, somebody did the same thing, hit the pole and took the road sign with them. So coming this Friday, we will be pouring the foundations in the cemetery. We have 17 of them to pour, so they'll be done. As of today and tomorrow, we are hauling dirt from my shop to clean up an area. The big mound of dirt here, we have a gentleman that wanted all the dirt, so we're getting it all out. He has 3 trucks here and we're hauling with 3 trucks. So we're moving out all the dirt. In the next few weeks, I am gonna get, probably by the next trustee meeting, I'll be coming back with you. I'm having a gentleman give me a price on these catch basin repairs. As of right now, I have about 10 of them I'd like to repair for the season like we did last year. We finished up a couple more culvert and pipe jobs. We did some work on the Pioneer Cemetery stone replacements. We actually completed all the ones that we got in before that Sue ordered, 15 of them. They have all been placed. I have a question for the trustees. This green storage shed I have sitting out here from Brimfield Baseball. We've tried contacting before about what they're going to do with it. Nobody will do nothing with it. I actually have Field Schools that is interested in it. They will pay for somebody to come pick it up and load it and haul it down to the school. I mean, truthfully myself, I'd like to get rid of the thing because it's kind of hard for us to use. It ain't really wide enough for equipment or anything to put in there except a few odds and ends. But we're having some difficulty with the doors, but I just want to let you guys know or have your opinion what you want to do with it. I'd just like to get rid of it myself.
Yeah, I thought we already discussed this and we're getting rid of it.
Well, do we have the legal authority to get rid of it? Because I thought we were reaching out to them to see if they wanted it.
Yeah, and they've never responded back to anything.
So I think my suggestion would be is that we need to either have Chad or the county or Mark or whoever draft a simple letter to the athletic association stating this is on our property. You have 30 days to remove it. Otherwise it becomes Brimfield Township or whatever that legal language is that they would have to draft to cover us. Because the last thing I want to do is give it to the school and then the athletic association
Right.
back on us.
Yeah, that's what I do. I mean, Dave, who was your contact? Was it still George Dardas?
No, I don't have a contact anymore. Cassie's she tried to contact me before about some of the
Dardas. George Dardas was the one that brought it down there.
He's not there anymore. The only one that's still there that I know of is Marge Carlson. She's been there for 35 years.
I think it'd be John Little was the president of the association. So.
And I think they flip so much. I just know Marge would be able to tell us who it is.
Well, I think we just need a name and then we should send a letter. And I think that's the safest way to do it.
Do we send the letter to Marge?
She's the only one that I know that's still there. And she's the one that's been there constant for 35 years. Everybody else switches like every year. As soon as their kid gets done playing, they quit.
Or do we want to, I think we have to address the president of the board though for the legality of it.
But at least CC Marge Carlson.
Yeah, we can CC her, but Cassie, could you find out who the president of the association is so that we can send the official legal notice and then CC Marge on it and then
Send them certified.
Yeah, and then CC for legal reasons to the trustees.
Or maybe if someone talks to someone, you can mention that the schools offer.
Right, and I think we need to send the letter first, then call, just so we can dot our I's and cross our T's.
Yeah, I know Dave's wanted it again, so.
I know it's a little bit more of a delay, Dave, but I just don't want us to get in a legal problem with it.
Right. Well, like I said, we discussed things with them before because hell, they come and took all their stuff out. I actually had a lock on the door and they cut it and took their stuff. That was a year and a half ago. So they haven't showed up since. I mean, I don't know how they would move it again. So
do we want to run that through Chad?
Yeah, I would.
Cassie, since that's a parks piece, can you work with Chad, get a letter drafted up and get that sent out?
we should probably make, want to make a motion?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to send to have Chad Murdoch draft a letter of intent to remove the storage unit from the road department property to the Broomfield Athletic Association.
I will second that.
Any discussion? All right, roll call, all in favor?
Yeah, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed.
Comment.
Okay, and I just have, whoop,
Dave, I wanted to go back to that street signs that keep getting stolen. The last General Assembly I was at, I had talked to a guy about street signs being ripped off. And there are some of these fancy bolts that nobody can get off. I mean, have you looked into any of those?
yeah, actually, that's what we had on Robert's Journey. And they actually, when you hit it with a car, it's you can not, pound them off real quick with a hammer. So, I mean, actually, Robert's Journey, the last pull I had there, we actually put bolts through the thing too to hold it at, this and that. And Robert's Journey, that was just from, I think, a car accident where somebody ran off the road and just hit it and took off. But the one at Gary Drive, I've never had an issue. And then all of a sudden, it's been taken 2 times now. But the last time somebody hit it, backed their car into it and bent the pole down where they could get work on and take off with it.
Wow.
Because there wasn't even tire tracks in the grass. It was just somebody probably bent it down to where they could do what they wanted and took it.
It's a shame.
So it did ruin the pole and then also the sign missing. So yeah, it's a little bit of an expense for somebody to have a little sign in their garage. So
Yeah.
and then I need board approval for PSI soil testing for moving forward like a new salt dome at the township. John, you got that for discussion?
Yeah, I do. That's just so you guys know, there's soil studies that have to be done to make sure that the salt can actually sit on that ground there where we're going to move the salt shed to. So that's what they're going to do. We're moving all the dirt right now, Dave is, that's been piled over there for years now, the extra dirt. And they are going to test the soil to meet compliance with the company that's building the salt shed.
Okay.
So we can't get around that. They have to make sure that it doesn't cave in and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna make that motion that we approve geotechnical services for the soil sampling.
second.
At the fee not to exceed, what would you say?
4,000. Yeah,
Um,
they bid $399.90.
Just for discussion on this,
Mhm.
John, do you know, are they just, when they're doing the soil sample, are they looking for salt leakage too into the ground, or are they just looking for stabilization?
They're looking for both. They're making sure that it's proper for a salt shed to be built there.
And if they
And
find high levels of salt contaminant in the soil, is that something that then gets reported to the Ohio EPA and becomes an issue for us?
you know what, Nick, I'm not sure about that, but we can talk to them about it.
Well, it is mainly for stabilization of the building is what
Because remember when we talked about the fuel tanks, there was concerns about if there was soil sampling done, the EPA ramifications potentially from those soil samplings. That's my only concern.
Well, I don't know if there wouldn't be any salt contamination over there from the other shed because it's far enough away. And if anybody was going to complain about anything, it would be on the backside of the building, not where that's going to be built.
So then, Dave, remind me, we'd be taking the other salt shed down?
Yeah, because actually the other salt shed, when we've discussed it with other people, it would cost me pretty much just as much to replace the beams and stuff in it. And they can't guarantee the tarp won't rebuilding the old building back up when you put the new structure inside, because them are all deteriorated.
The new structure will be larger?
Yeah, so actually, well, it'll be pretty close to the same size, but actually it would have inside concrete walls where the salt doesn't get outside through, like it's doing through a little bit of the block that we have. And then it'd actually be taller for these new style trucks, can dump without worrying about them hitting the roof. And to see if we could actually store more salt with this building, the way it'll be designed.
We piled last time in the salt shed, and that's what caused a lot of the damage.
What's
We
your
won't be piling.
timeline, Dave?
What's that?
What is your timeline on this?
Oh, this is just to get things moving forward on this. I mean, I don't know. It depends on how quick they do the soil samples and that kind of stuff.
I mean, are you planning this year?
I don't know if I'm planning really this year or not with it, because by the time you get set in and all that stuff, it'd be more like something we'd have to talk with the company and all that kind of stuff. So
I
this
mean,
is
are
like
you
the first
up on
stage.
salt?
Pardon me?
Are you stocking up on salt now?
Well, right now I do have salt in the other buildings, so we're actually, it's not that I want to stockpile, put another building. This is actually quote unquote the future to move forward. We'd have to move the salt dome to put the other structure up if we do make the garage bigger. So we'd have to get it moved to that side. We just want to see if we're capable of putting it over there. What it amounts to.
And you're going to keep using that, correct, Dave, until the other one's up, right?
Yeah, the one we have now is, we'll keep using it. I mean, it's not feasible to try to rebuild, because we might end up having to throw a whole new tarp on top once they put the new easements back up. So it's just one of them things, you could end up paying just as much for a used structure as you would a new one, so.
Okay.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, roll
All those in
call.
favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
motion passed.
Unless anybody else has got any more questions for me, that's the end of my report.
Oh, I'm good.
Oh, Dave, I just want to say thank you for helping with that Pioneer Cemetery. I appreciate the work you've done up there so far.
Well, it's going slowly but surely.
Well, it is. It's a slow process. It's fine.
All right, Cassie, the floor is yours, Parks and Rec.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Okay, good. All right.
kind of.
I just have a few informational pieces for the board. Number one, field youth football started practicing on the 20th of this month. From all accounts, everything's going really well and everybody's staying safe, so that's really good to hear. The COVID-19 park signs that we discussed during last meeting have been ordered from Graphic Detail and should be arriving probably this week. Those are just permanent signs, more permanent signs that will be in the parks, just to remind people to social distance and wear masks and all those things that hopefully people already know. Parks Committee that was approved last meeting also. I'm working on applications and a committee outline that will be posted sometime in August. Hopefully I will start making committee selection in September. I'd like to kind of get the ball rolling with that to officially start the Parks Committee hopefully January of next year, probably virtually, but we'll see. Maybe not, hopefully, I don't know.
Cassie?
Yeah.
Are you looking to do an official committee board?
This would be just an advisory committee. This is not a board or anything official like that. More of like a planning committee.
But it is a board, and they are gonna make motions, which would then come to the trustees. So they would just make it, invite them into us,
Yeah.
but they would vote as a board. And I would suggest, because it is parks, that it is labeled as a board that way.
Okay.
We weren't here when we did this in the past, but about 2 years ago, we changed and think any board members must have a background check before they
Okay.
can be. So that should be outlined in the application process, just so people are aware.
Okay.
Just for protection of the township.
Right.
If it's a true board. If it's just meeting, we don't need it.
But they're gonna vote, and they're actually gonna have a charter, is what we were
And it
talking
needs
about.
to follow the other boards.
Right. And I think that would be best anyways, to make sure that those background checks.
Right, I mean, but what you're looking with these people is just to offer you suggestions.
Right. Yeah.
So in essence, they're like friends of the park?
I'm not going to call them a Friends of the Park because that's a nonprofit group and that's a whole other bag of worms. But yeah, so just people that are part of the community that can maybe spearhead some more projects and help me come up with ideas and just really find out what the parks need from their perspective.
If they come to us, we officially put them on a board. They need a background check.
Right, and
If
I
they're
think,
just there for show up when you want to and give suggestions, that's different.
I think if they're actual members and we make them members, we should, because I would almost envision they're probably gonna help you at these events, Cassie. when you
Yes.
have- and if they're gonna be there helping, especially with children involved in park events, I think a background is almost necessary.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with
I mean,
that.
I know it's a cost for us, but it's minor. I mean, we're dealing with kids and stuff at that point.
We background check the BZA members, correct?
Yes.
I
Would
have
we
all-
be able to use that same process then?
Yes.
All right. And then my last update is Messner Acres. The future park site sign that has been hanging out in the hallway for a while is now up. If you're driving down Klein Road, it looks really nice. Thank you, Dave and crew, for doing that. It went up yesterday. And then I am also, along with the COVID-19 signs that were purchased for the parks, I have purchased a few no trespassing signs for the park, just saying no, because it is a conservation area, no ATVs, no hunting, that kind of thing, protected area. So those will be going up. We have been having issues with ATVs on that property. There's lots of tire ruts going through the property, which is unfortunate for that. So I'd like to get something up that denotes, well, the future park site sign will hopefully help that as well. But also just reminding people that ATVs and hunting and things are not permitted in any of our parks. So
Could you weigh in on that, Roy? If we were to put up those no trespassing signs, then deployed some trail cams, and we had that evidence, is that a piece that the PD could follow up on then, especially because it's a conservation area? Or what do we do with that?
Yeah, we could follow up on that piece. Just one piece you want to be cognizant of, generally from trespassings, from a perspective of looking at it from like a charge, generally the prosecutor's office will want some form of warning being issued first before we would end up formally charging somebody. So yeah, but the piece with the trail cam and the signage, if we happen to make contact or do some follow-up and determine somebody was down there able to identify them, we'd give them notice on the front end that there's a trespassing issue there, and then if that happens again, there could potentially be a charge associated with it. So the short answer is yes, we could follow up on that piece.
okay.
And I think really, Cassie, just because we've had issues in other areas with other little pieces here and there, I really think we should invest in some of those cams, those trail cams, so that you could deploy those in different areas. I mean, they're reasonably cost effective now, and they're just an SD card, and we can gather that information. At least it's a proactive step, and then we can work with PD. I'm not looking to, have somebody go to jail for it, but at least we have some contacts where they can follow up and maybe make just that conversation sometimes from the police will help solve those.
Just make sure they're hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, definitely, because I feel like we have a duty to protect that property, especially since we're working with Western Reserve Land Conservancy on that. And also, I do worry, since that property is not open to the public and there's a big wetland back there and a barn that is uninhabited, that someone could get hurt back there. So that is a concern to me.
The plus side is you might get some good nature photos to post on.
That is also the bonus. So if I'm not needing them for trespassing purposes, I can definitely get some maybe wildlife footage. So
Yeah, if you could work on that before next meeting, I think that would be a good purchase for us to have out there.
absolutely. Okay, and that is all. Thank you.
All right, any questions for Parks? All right, hearing none, we'll move on. Cemetery, there was no action. I just wanted to follow up from Craig. Where are we at in the transition of duties from Jendi to Rochelle? How's that process going? Is Rochelle kind of taking that over at this point?
Yeah, well, the first simple answer is that the job description is now spelled out that Rochelle is lead on cemetery. She has been working with Jendi, as questions come in, but she is the lead on that project. She should be working directly with Dave and Sue on that, and then Jendi would only be the backup to Rochelle if there was a problem she couldn't handle. So does that kind of answer?
Yeah, I just want to make sure, because I knew we put a 1-year timeline out, so we're about 6-7 months into it now. just
Yeah, and
seeing
she's
how
still,
that transition
still
comes
learning
along.
that stuff, but yeah, she should be following up on everything. Should be Rochelle answering with that.
And in the cemetery, we just completed 15 of those new stones that the guys put in. And I'm gonna be up there, I'm trying to work up an order for about 20 more.
Okay.
And then I can have all winter to work on it.
And you've been working directly with Rochelle going over there.
Yeah, Rochelle and I, we
Cemetery.
went over yesterday and Dave met us over there and we took a look to see what all, they've really cleaned it up a lot. And the crew is trying to, some that are really falling over that are decent, they're reset, moving them around and setting them back up again so they look a lot better.
Good, perfect.
Yeah. They took out some of the really big bad brush that has been growing there. And I'm real pleased.
That sounds like a great project. I'm excited to see how it all turns out. And I think it's a good project for Rochelle to work with you on too. So, all right, yeah, I just wanted an update because I knew that was one of the big transitions for this year. So, next is fiscal office. We have the CARES Act. I think each of us should have received an email on this. What happened is that the state of Ohio received a large sum of money from the federal government called CARES Act, and that's supposed to be distributed in order to help reimburse for COVID-related expenses.
Right.
That's exciting news. The downside is, I don't know if you saw the numbers on this, they use the local government fund distribution. So Brimfield, out of the total 4.6 million, Brimfield gets $75,000 to that is allocated for us to charge against. Just for comparison, because they used LGF, and this is another reason why we need to really relook this in the future, City of Kent got 800,000.
Crazy.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, we have full-time police, fire, road, we get 75,000 and they got 800,000 to spend. So with that said, there is a document that lists all the expenses, and they say right at the top, don't limit your creative thinking. So anything spent between March 1st of 2020 through December 30th of 2020 related to COVID, we can then compile that and get that sent back. What we need to figure out is, you know, obviously we want to maximize our funding here and gather back our 75,000. We could be getting some supplies for the fall to prepare for that too. I know Chief, you had asked about that, Roy. You know, can we get some additional supplies for the fall time? That could fall into this. We got $75,692 to work with. And really, they don't limit it. It says restocking original supplies for PPE, stockpiling for fall PPE, hand sanitizers, security services, disinfecting, cleaning services, electronics, so such as laptops, docking stations, computer software, Zoom meeting costs, all of that can be reimbursed. Let's see what else here. EMA responses, which wasn't us, plastic barriers, sanitizers, signs. So even like the park signs, we can get all that money. We can compile that into a list. My question, John, is who's going to be the point of contact to work with tracking this and allocating those funds?
It's going to be me. So the 3 department heads, we'll get together and bring any of those items that you have there that you want to get. Bring what you've already spent and what you intend on spending, and we'll just fill in the blanks until we spend $75,000. And then we'll go from there. The biggest chunk of that probably is going to be our cleaning service in Maryland, because that counts. But I want to make sure you guys are all stocked going forward. So I'll be the contact, and if you can get in touch with me with your ideas of what you want to reimburse or get reimbursed from what you've spent, we'll go from there.
So I think most important is stockpiling for the future. I think
Right.
that needs to be number one. Then we can kind of work backwards of what we've already spent this year. But I really want to, because, you know, let's face it, COVID's not going anywhere anytime soon from what we're seeing. And we're going to enter flu season here in November, and that's just going to stack on top of this. So disinfecting, cleaning supplies, and PPE, I think, are going to be number one priority, in my opinion, as we look at this funding right now.
And this money's gonna go fast.
Yeah.
If we had cans, we'd be okay.
800,000.
Yeah, compared to 75, I had to put that up.
Crazy.
The county got 1.8 million.
Oh, great. And they're not even working. God, Don't smile, White.
So,
Okay.
so I wanted to put that out there. So all the department heads good work with working with John on that, just getting those numbers over and starting to figure that out. You know, we had discussed it earlier, but we had to wait to see what the official distribution was. And this finally came out because they used that LGF distribution formula. Any other questions from the board? All right, not hearing any. Executive sessions. I don't see any on there. Did anybody need any executive sessions? Hearing none. Anything for the good of the order? Nobody?
Wonderful meeting.
All right, perfect. 9:45 gets me out in time for a JED meeting. All right, need a motion to close the meeting.
I'll make that motion, Nick.
Second.
2 seconds, roll call.
Okay, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
you are passed and out. Thank you, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye, thanks.